Eli in the studio. Welcome to this edition of FYI. I have two very special guests today from the Brick City Rollers League. I have James Gallagher and I also have Stacy Gray. And they're here to share with our listeners in New Mexico and southern Colorado about the really cool roller derby event that's going to materialize Saturday, November 18th. Welcome to this edition of FYI, and welcome back, Stacy, to KCRT, and welcome, James, to Studio A.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
It's great. Well, I'll tell you what, roller derby, I'll tell you, I need to know, first of all, for our listeners, you need to share with our listeners, both in New Mexico and Colorado, about your roller derby names, first of all. If you listened last year, you know Stacy's roller derby name, but she's going to tell our listeners again right now.
Cherry Chapstick.
Isn't that the coolest name for a roller derby? That is cool.
You.
And James?
Oh, I'm afraid sanity here, just coming apart at the seams.
I like that. Well, you know, there's two teams, the Purgatory Angels and I believe the Purple Rain. Prince would be proud of that, right?
Absolutely.
Purple Rain. But we're spelling it R-E-I-G-N, not R-A-I-N. Was formerly, I believe, the Coal Dust Queens when I interviewed you last time?
That's
Stacey?
correct.
Okay, and then we changed the name. Well, I guess we're having co-ed now. This is the first time. What do you think about co-ed roller derby? First of all, let's start with James.
Well, it brings a different level of mental aspect to the game instead of just physical. Some of these girls are half my size. I don't want to smash them flat. But, you got Cherry Chapstick over here, and she'll knock me on
you're
my
not
backside.
kidding. I've seen her firsthand a few times, and yes. Stacy, you've been doing this for, what did you tell me before the interview, 45 years or more?
Well, I've been skating for 45 years.
Right,
but
skating, on skates, yes.
derby just 2 years now.
2 years, but man, you're amazing. You're phenomenal.
Thank you.
Yeah, very proficient in your expertise with the skates and everything. So what do you think about this co-ed, Stacy? Tell our listeners.
Well, there's something just really satisfying about being a female and being able to knock down a guy that's 6'2". That level of satisfaction is just unparalleled. It's great.
I like that, James. Again, Angie is, I believe, the captain of the Angels, correct, Stacy?
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. And you are the captain of Purple Rain.
Right, that's a new development too. Yes.
Yeah,
I'm
so
the
how's that
captain.
coming along? How's that transition been?
It's been a little awkward because I didn't know I was supposed to create the lineup, but yeah, I do that, and it's been fun.
You know, it's great because Angie and the rest of you facilitate a lot of the fundraisers, and a lot of the proceeds go to just wonderful organizations and entities. So I need to ask you a personal question. After each event is over, how long is the recovery process? Now, you guys have been doing this a while. I guess it just depends how rough it is during the actual roller derby event, correct?
Oh, definitely. We have some rough practices, and I was just at a bout up in Salida on Sunday and on my skates for practice again Monday.
Wow. What is the most serious injury that you've incurred while you've been roller derbying?
Myself, probably the one I'm dealing with right now. I hit my knee wrong, and it's, luckily I don't think it's ACL damage or anything.
Ah, man. As a kid, I watched the Kansas City Bombers, and I watched Joan Weston. She was like the Blonde Bomber. I think they actually nicknamed her the Blonde Bomber. She was vicious, and she was so good, so agile for her size.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So explain to our listeners who have never witnessed a roller derby event, the rules are a little bit different, correct, Stacy?
Well, we have very limited space, so we had to adapt the standard WIFTA rules to accommodate that. We have 3 people from each team on the track at a time. We have 2 blockers and 1 jammer. Only the jammer can score points, and so the blockers are doing double duty of trying to create a hole for their jammer to get through and simultaneously preventing the jammer from the other team from getting through.
I'm kind of thinking, when I've watched the roller derby that you participated in, is it easier to go under the arms of the people or try to go right through them, the jammers?
I think that's personal preference. I rather go
just depends on the
around.
situation?
Yeah, I
Orchestrated?
rather go around.
Okay,
Yep.
all right. Okay.
Depends on your physicality, too.
That's
Somebody
true.
like me,
That's
it's going to
true.
be easier to crash through people.
Right,
and,
crash through.
like crazy squirrel. She's got to find a hole.
Well, how are they going to hold big guys like you back is what I want to know.
Determination and stubbornness.
Don't underestimate the resiliency of these smaller participants, these skaters.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Cherry Chapstick, she hulks out. She turns green and goes red in the eyes.
I do.
Oh, man.
I one advantage short people have, and I have big feet. So weebles wobble, we don't fall down. And so I can get under James's center of gravity because I'm shorter and just, yeah.
That's the law of physics.
I don't think
Absolutely.
about the physics part.
You just well, Stacy, your other teammates on Purple Rain, can you mention all of your members?
I will try.
Have? Okay.
We've grown a bit, so
okay.
that's great.
And you have substitutes as well?
We have substitutes now, so we won't get as exhausted. It'll be a great bout. But there's Cry Havoc, who is Aaliyah. That is Tommy's daughter. She won MVP this past weekend over in Salida. And we have Heather, who is Gigglebot. We have Crazy Squirrel, which is Summer. Mm-hmm. We have, oh my God, James, Frayed Sanity. Oh my God, I'm forgetting somebody I know. Go ahead, James. Who else we got?
Well, I can't think of anybody else in Purple Rain. That sounds about like everybody. Maybe Strawberry Jam?
Strawberry Jam, yes. Can't forget her.
I remember that name from last year, Stace.
Yes.
Yes. What about on the other team?
Well, on the Purgatory Angels, we've got Wreck-It Rosie. We've got Dispatch Her. One or two that don't have derby names yet. They're still working on that concept.
I like that name because the Purgatory means actually the River of Lost Souls. So Purgatory Angels is kind of synonymous with that.
Yes.
Yeah.
I just remembered another member of the Purple Rain. I'm so sorry. Shannon, Suicide Slushy.
Okay, Suicide Slushy.
That's a good point.
That's like something you get at Sonic. Suicide Slushy. And it sounds like it would be blue, Suicide Slushy.
She's Rainbow. So
Rainbow, okay.
Got the names here. So there's Sabrina Bo Peep on the Purgatory Angels. There's also, here we go, Elliot and Tiffany. Space Mouse is Elliot.
Space Mouse.
Tiffany's still working on her derby name. And we have Rob. He's going to be King something. I can't remember.
I need to ask you another question.
Yes, sir.
With this new co-ed affiliation now, do you think this is going to spread to other cities? Have you already networked with other towns to create a possible league and with standings and everything?
Well, that's something that we're working on. We've got people coming up, Strawberry Jams down Raton, Bo Peeps up Walsenburg.
Right.
And like I said, we just went to Salida over the weekend. We've talked to Albuquerque, Santa Fe. We've talked to Pikes Peak. They've all got WIFTA leagues. So we're in communication and trying to get them to come down and play with us and try out our short track, the small track instead of the big track.
Okay, now I know different venues, I'm sure, have different facilities in terms of surface area. Oval track, just about every venue has an oval track, correct?
Well, yeah, both
they'd have
and
to.
short track.
Right, short track.
Oval. Short track is half scale in every dimension.
How much more exhausted on a larger scale track? I mean, with your substitutions and everything else.
In some ways, it's easier.
Oh, really?
Actually, because the turn's not as tight.
Oh, that's
and
true.
It's not quite
That's
as
true.
crowded. You've got more room for the players to spread out, even though there's more of them.
And the fans love to be next to the action right there, especially when it was at the old Flojos. It was really cool there. Now, I know Fort Wooten is Holloway Hall, maybe a little bit smaller in volume, Stace?
I believe so. We were able to fit our track in there, what we had fit in Flojos. The challenge is going to be ensuring we have enough seats, areas for seats, but we'll leverage the stage, we'll leverage whatever. We're working really closely with them, and they've been fantastic.
Have you practiced there already? I'm sure you have a few times.
We practice there every Monday and Friday from 6:30 to 8:30. If you are interested, we are recruiting. All you have to do is show up at Fort Wooten Mondays, Fridays, 6:30.
Wow. All right. That's a concerted reply out there for our listeners. The youngest participant, if our listeners are a little bit apprehensive right now, but they're saying, you know what, I may want to try this because I am good on skates. I am good maybe at Skateland, and I want to do something maybe a little bit different. What advice would you give them?
Come try it. It's a lot of fun. All of your skills are going to transfer over. We are all ages, all genders, but if we can get enough people involved, we'll start splitting out to have a juniors league and a men's league too.
If you are just joining us on this edition of FYI in this beautiful afternoon, I'm speaking with Stacy Gray and James Gallagher. They've been most generous to spend some time with us on this edition of FYI. And right now, I would like you to tell our listeners what type of padding and equipment that you wear for protective gear.
Well, we wear helmets. We wear mouth guards, elbow pads, wrist guards, knee pads, and I think that's it. Yeah.
All righty. Okay. And there is still risk of injury, of course.
Always.
Always.
It is a contact sport. Can't put
Yes.
that completely out of mind.
Well, you know what? Isn't it funny how even since the time of the Romans, when they had all of those games back before BC, how everybody likes contact sports?
Oh, yeah.
It seems like it's an adrenaline. You get fixated on adrenaline. And if it wasn't, you know, it's kind of hard for me to watch soccer, even though soccer is a world sport. It's a great sport. But yeah, I like the contact involved. So what do you anticipate for our listeners there? How has the response been so far that you maybe heard generated through the grapevine?
Well, we've heard a lot of support from different places in town and a lot of interest in coming out to see us play.
Okay. Well, let's talk sponsors now. I don't know. I don't have a list of sponsors, but I do believe it's on my phone.
I do.
Because I know you would, Stacy, because I mentioned this on the billboard in the mornings. I haven't mentioned the sponsors, though, so thank you for reminding me.
Awesome. So we have Canary Weston Supply, Los Animas Grill, Curly's Beads, the Tails End, which is the dog wash, and, oh my goodness, Furiosa, the paintball and games location.
Wouldn't that be great if an entrepreneur called you, Stacy, one night and said, I want to build you guys a full-size roller derby arena?
Oh, my God.
You would faint.
I would. And then I'd get up and then I would worship the ground they walked on.
But are we in need of one? We are, aren't we?
That would be wonderful, yes.
I don't know how well Fort Wooten would accommodate, especially with people watching, you know. I don't know.
It's tough. Thank goodness we're in a town with older buildings that have large wooden floors in some of them, or else we would really be stuck. But if you have a facility where you have a very nice large back room, used to be a ballroom or something with a nice smooth floor, please reach out. We'd love to talk to you.
I was going to ask you, can you put a new surface or a temporary removable surface like at the community center, possibly?
We could, yeah. We've actually looked into that possibility.
I just thought of that.
And it's called, there are different names for it, ice court, sport court, that kind of thing, where it's like playground tiles or garage flooring tiles that you clip together.
Yes, yeah, like a puzzle.
It's kind of expensive, though.
Yeah, I'll bet. Well, we have about 3 minutes left for this edition of FYI. I would like you to give us a condensed overview about anything else you would like to talk to our listeners in Colfax County, New Mexico. We want people from Raton and Springer and Cimarron
Absolutely.
to be there November 18th, right? Because the doors
Yes.
open at 7. The actual event starts at 8. It is co-ed, and it's $10 at the door.
Right.
I'm sorry, $10 in advance and $12
yes.
at the door. So get your tickets. God, we spend $10 on nothing anymore. This is great entertainment. It's fun, and you're helping a great cause.
And we also are going to have food and beverages.
Everybody likes that.
Adult beverages as
Yes,
well.
Absolutely.
Available. And we have a professional sportscaster now. So
That's okay. That's what we're missing from this interview, because you actually project your voice really well.
Oh, thank you.
So you could be a sportscaster / participant on your own team, Purple Rain.
Yeah, we're going to win.
Oh,
I just want to say
that confidence, James. What do you think about that, James?
Oh, we're absolutely going to do our best.
All right.
We got a lot of competition now. We know these girls from practicing every day.
It's friendly competition, but you're going to go at it just like you want to beat your brother at basketball or whatever.
Absolutely.
Hypothetically.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Last thoughts, James.
Well, halftime show, we're going to have a creeper race, and we're going to have a flick-a-brick. So there will be
Okay, explain
prizes.
that flick-a-brick.
Well, it's going to be about $2 to get a brick, and just like you've seen Chuck-a-Puck at hockey games and other roller derbies.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have a couple of targets out in the center of the track, get some concessions, T-shirts, that kind of thing for prizes.
So everybody needs to be there. It may entice some future roller derby contestants, correct, Stacy?
Absolutely. We have folks waiting in the wings that are still getting solid on their skates, and they will be joining us in our next bout.
Let me ask you this before we leave. If someone wants to learn, can either one of you give them lessons? Or is there a course or training session that they can take just to get their feet wet?
They can show up early at Fort Wooten on Mondays and Fridays, and I will teach them myself.
I love that confidence, James.
And that's whether or not you've been on quads before. If you're coming off inlines, we'll take you in too.
All righty. Stacy Gray, a.k.a.
Cherry Chapstick.
James Gallagher, a.k.a.
Frayed Sanity.
You heard it first on this edition of FYI. Thank both of you. God bless you, and we will see you soon. And the 18th, remember, people, November 18th, Fort Wooten is the place you want to be, Holloway Hall. It's on Chestnut Street, right across from the courthouse, and it's going to open at 7 p.m., and the actual derby starts at 8 p.m. $10 in advance, $12 at the door. Be there, be square. And thank you so much, both of you.
Thank you.
Always
very
enjoy
much.
having you in the studio.
Thank you.
Thanks.